should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Welcome to my radio and TV show, Debbie Changes Lives. I'm Debbie, your certified holistic health coach. I revitalize people's lives by helping them identify the root causes of their health and mindset issues and create a custom, natural, holistic strategy to address them in the areas of mind, body, and soul. As a health coach, I'm not allowed to say that I heal, treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose any diseases. I can certainly make your body more efficient by reducing symptoms. You'll feel better, be more productive, and enjoy life more. Not many people have released 70 pounds, had a health transformation, and kept fit and trim for over a decade. I have, and I have staying power, and it's been over 11 years. I even became a half marathon runner at the age of 51, when I never was able to run in childhood or adulthood due to foot problems. And I gotta say, mindset is the key for lasting change. I do revitalize people's lives in many different areas of health and mindset. I guide you to clean, toxic-free foods and high-quality essential nutrients. My coaching is for optimizing your health, releasing weight efficiently, and enhancing your mindset. You will see and feel the differences with my coaching programs. Ask me about them on my complimentary consultation button of my link tree at Debbie Changes Lives, DebiChanges Live as in Victory ES.com/Linktree, LINKTREE, and I'll guide you to a better, healthier life. I have a holiday sale of 33% off my group coaching for Take Your Body Back, which is a 12-week weight release and mindset coaching program where you can utilize a new version of you for your success. It's time to ask questions because this promotion will end on December 31st, and we need a group of 4. So I'll be going into more details about this later. And with my mindset coaching, you can take down the slide. With my mindset coaching, I help people realize that their thoughts, feelings, emotions will trigger their actions and results. That's why it's really important to have a positive mindset to get you through it. Also, it's important to release those low vibrational energies of fear, frustration, and doubt because they will slow you down and get you stuck. Like a hot air balloon that has balances, I help my clients release those emotional balances so that they can float up to a better, healthier life. In turn, they're releasing stress and they're beginning to reshape their core beliefs. Today, I'm really excited to have Dr. Joanne Conway, who is a naturopathic physician, an acclaimed speaker, and an author of her book. You can bring the slide up for that. That is Why is America So Sick? Linking Digestive Health to Immunity and Hormone Issues. And with Dr. Joanne Conway's background, she started, with a bachelor's degree in science and nursing in 1976. You're welcome to take the slide down when you want. And she is a nurse that was involved in ER, trauma, critical care, operating room, cardiac care, infection control, and also nursing education and management. She also specialized as a nutritional support nurse, where she cared for people that couldn't eat by mouth and were only getting their nutrition via a feeding tube. This experience actually drove her passion to help people understand the importance of a healthy diet and a healthy digestive system. Dr. Joanne Conway is also a retired lieutenant colonel, having spent 20 years in the U.S. Air Force and Reserves, many years as an medical evacuation nurse, being uncomfortable with caring for patients, following the mainstream medical model. After learning so much about the natural approach, Dr. Conway retired from nursing and went back to school to become a naturopathic physician. Today, we'll be discussing how hormones affect behaviors, reactions, and emotional responses. So let's welcome Dr. Joanne Conway, a naturopathic physician, speaker, and author, back to my show. Dr. Conway, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much, Debbie. I'm delighted to be back with you today. So I think if it's okay with you, I'm just going to go ahead and get started.
Okay.
One of the first questions people will ask me is, what are hormones? Okay, so let's just kind of cover that real quickly, because I think it's important for people to understand that hormones are the chemical substances or chemical messengers that the body makes in our organs called glands. Our endocrine system has several glands. And what happens is throughout the body, these messages get sent. Now, when we talk about the endocrine system itself, we say the pituitary gland is like the puppet master. And the reason we say that is because the pituitary gland is responsible for making certain hormones that tell other glands what to do. For example, the pituitary gland makes adrenocorticotropic hormone, which stimulates then your adrenal glands, and they produce cortisol. The pituitary gland makes follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Both of these hormones play a critical role because they actually help to make the sex hormones, estrogen and testosterone. There's growth hormone, there's thyroid stimulating hormone. So when we talk about these hormones, one of the things that we talk about, and especially when we're talking about a situation like stress, we talk about cortisol. Cortisol has gotten a lot of press over the last couple of decades because it's now recognized just how important cortisol is and how important it is to maintain healthy cortisol and keep it at healthy levels. So cortisol is what we call our stress hormone. And when we look at cortisol levels, we know that they increase in response to stress. And that's not just medical or physiological stress. We know psychological stress can also increase cortisol. So cortisol is important because we know it helps to maintain blood pressure. It helps to give us good energy levels. It helps to regulate the body and helps us to use fats properly, proteins, carbohydrates. So when we're looking at cortisol, we have to recognize that a good night's sleep, for example, is important for cortisol regulation. Now, people ask me all the time, do my sleep patterns have anything to do with my hormones? The answer to that is absolutely. Your sleep patterns will have a lot to do with your hormones and your hormone levels.
That's very true.
Is another hormone that people ask me about all the time. We know that estrogen affects sexual development and function. And we know that it's also important when a woman enters puberty, for example. You have to have adequate amounts of estrogen to directly enhance the secondary sex characteristics, as we call them, increase breast formation, increase body fat, start to have menstrual cycles, uterine development, and so forth. And there are several other hormones that we can talk about, but the bottom line is people need to understand that hormones are what drive us, and hormones are what makes the world go round. Okay. If we didn't have healthy hormonal levels, then we wouldn't be healthy from various different perspectives. The other thing, too, though, is the significant link between a healthy gut or a healthy microbiome and hormones. So, a healthy microbiome, particularly a gut microbiota, because we have several different microbiotas in the body, but a healthy gut microbiota is definitely necessary. We've recognized in research that if a person is suffering from anxiety or depression, dysbiosis, which is the imbalance of that gut microbiota, and inflammation within the central nervous system itself, can be linked to mental illnesses. So,
Yeah.
have shown that, interestingly enough, balancing the gut or the use of probiotics can effectively mitigate anxiety and depressive symptoms, similar to conventional prescription medications. So I think it's important for people to make the link. We know that hormones are necessary. We know that we must have healthy hormones in order to be healthy, but we have to recognize that we must have a healthy gut microbiota in order for our hormones to function. It's like anything else. You know me, you and I have talked many times. If your gut isn't working, you're not working. And that's from every perspective, but it's definitely true with respect to the hormonal perspective. If your gut is not healthy, your hormonal system is not healthy.
So is it sluggish too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. It's like with anything else in the body. If your gut is imbalanced, then your endocrine system is imbalanced, your cardiovascular system is imbalanced, your reproductive system is imbalanced. And there's an enormous amount of research being done now with respect to the link between the gut and every other system in the body.
And I guess there's a limitation too if you have a leaky gut.
Oh, yeah, definitely. People say, well, leaky gut, what does that mean? Well, basically what that means is instead of your gut being closed and locked, if you will, imagine, if you will, a screen. And this is how I help people understand it. Imagine a screen. If a screen is in good working order, it's got tiny holes, only the tiniest little bugs can get through that screen. But if you have a breakdown of that membrane or a breaking apart of that screen, then you can ultimately have larger, larger than normal food molecules and yeast molecules and other things leaving that gut lining and getting picked up into the circulation. So when people say leaky gut, what that means is because of damage to the inside lining of your digestive system, inflammation, weakening of those tight junctions, things that are less than desirable leak out into the circulation. And when that happens, they can pick up residence or take up residence various different parts of the body and start to cause problems. And this is where we get into the issue of autoimmune disorders. For example, if you have unhealthy molecules leaving the gut and ending up in the thyroid gland, for example, you may develop the symptoms of Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is one of the most common and least appropriately diagnosed form of hypothyroidism in this country. Many people do have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and the thyroid gland is not working properly. The hormones of the thyroid gland are not being produced as they should be, and so people are suffering. So there are various different ways that a leaky gut can impact you and can impact your hormones.
I see. So how do individual hormones impact behavior?
Well, when we talk about individual hormones, it's fascinating because people say, okay, well, tell me what certain hormones do. We know, for example, thyroid hormones. Thyroid hormones control the body's metabolism. Growth hormone actually affects how tall you are. Insulin helps the body to utilize blood sugar appropriately. Melatonin is another very important hormone that doesn't get enough discussion, in my opinion, but it's important during sleep. It helps the body's clock, the internal clock. And when melatonin is disrupted, that is something that will disrupt your ability to get a good night's sleep. So if the hormone is disrupted, then you have a cascading event. You're not going to get a good night's sleep. And as a result of that, you're going to have negative impacts throughout the rest of your system. Now, when we talk about how do hormones impact us in various different ways. And for example, if we're talking about a stressful situation and we're talking about someone having an emotional reaction, okay, oftentimes people find it very hard to get past trauma. And yes. Why do they find it so difficult? Well, when we look at trauma, and Dr. Joe Dispenza discusses this incessantly and actually puts it together very well, in my opinion. But what he explains is that the stronger your emotional reaction to any experience, any trauma, the higher your emotional quotient. And the more you're going to pay attention to the cause of that elevated emotion. So the moment your brain actually starts to function and put its attention on the actual cause of the event, it takes a snapshot of that, and that's called a memory.
Yes.
And so now you develop memories, and they are created from these very highly emotional experiences. So what happens is people think neurologically, which means they think with their brain and within the circuitry of that certain experience. So when you have an experience, there are things that go on neurologically and communications that take place in the brain.
Yes.
Then you also have chemicals that are flooding the brain as well. And so you feel chemically those emotions. And so you have an emotional reaction to something or to someone. Now, most people think that they can't control their emotional reaction. It's not true. If you pay attention, you can, in fact, control your emotional reaction. But that control of the reaction is called the refractory period. And if your refractory period lasts more than just a few hours, if it, for example, starts to last for a couple of days, then we call that a mood. And someone might say to you, "What's wrong with you?" "Well, I'm in a mood." "Well, why are you in a mood?" "Well, I had an event that occurred 5 days ago, and I'm having one long emotional reaction." Sometimes people get stuck in those reactions. And what's worse is people can get stuck in those reactions for many months. That's called temperament. When we see people stuck in an emotional reaction for many months, for example, that's when they actually start to change as a person. And somebody might say, "Why is he so bitter?" And so you might ask the person, "Why are you so bitter? Why are you angry? Why are you agitated all the time?" And they might say, "Well, I had this thing that happened to me 9 months ago." And so what they're doing is they're keeping that emotional reaction going on and on and on.
They're harboring
Goes,
it. They're kind of
yeah,
reliving it.
yep. And when it goes on for years, that becomes a personality trait. So what you need to do is learn to shorten your refractory period, okay? Because what will happen is, unfortunately, what we know is most people spend 70% of their lives living in a survival mode, okay? Living in stress. They're always anticipating the next worst thing that can happen. And when we talk about anticipating the next worst thing that can happen, and the unfortunate thing is many people live like that all the time. We talk about perceived stress, where people say, "What if, what if, what if," until the
Yeah.
cows come home, okay? What do you mean, what if? Well, what if this and what if that and what if? Well, you can spend your entire life saying what if, but you're not living in the moment, and what if may never happen. And so if you live with that anxiety, that anticipatory anxiety, if you will, or that perceived stress, and you're always looking for the next worst thing to happen, you're going to stand in the way of functioning neurologically, biologically, biochemically. You are not going to be a functioning human being. You will be stuck, as we call it. And so many people, unfortunately, in today's world are stuck. Why? Well, from my perspective, a big part of the reason why so many people are stuck is because of their deplorable diets, because of their unhealthy gut, and it's all linked together. When we talk about the gut, the gut brain connection, the gut brain axis, we talk about the gut brain hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis. We talk about all of those things all together. And it's because over the last several years, we've developed a much better understanding of how all of these things link together. But I will often talk about the fact that I am a firm believer. And then when we talk about situations like people reacting in a very negative way, people having a bad day or a bad experience, and they set about doing something horrific. Okay. Let's talk about mass shootings, for example.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Oftentimes what will happen is the news reports will tell us that the common denominator was these people, excuse me, these people were on some type of psychotropic drug. These
Yeah.
people were on something to treat their anxiety or to treat their depression.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they say is the link to their behavior. What I say is we need to back it up. What was it about their diet and their gut and their environment that depressed them to the point they had to go see a doctor and get a prescription for a drug? And that's where I personally believe much of this starts.
I believe that too, because I have been on prescription medication for depression, and I noticed it wasn't really helping me. And I got, obviously I was weeded off of it. But when I corrected my gut, I felt so much better. I had more energy. I left that behind. And over the years, I've learned to leave my emotional past in the past. So I wouldn't get depressed again, because it was better to focus, like you said, focus in the moment. And because the what if is kind of like a little train that goes poof, poof, poof,
Yep.
poof, poof. And you can't be worried about what's going to happen in the future, because that just gives you anxiety.
Exactly. And you bring up a really good point. For people who live like that, unfortunately, they're living in this chronic stress situation. Now, having said that, it's interesting because many people get addicted to that stress. They get addicted to the feeling that they have as a result of the emotions that are filling their system and the hormones that are filling their system based on whatever situation has occurred. And so oftentimes people will get caught up in some type of what if situation. And what I tell people, there is not a person, not a one of us, no one can change what has happened in their past. You cannot change anything right up until this moment. You can't change anything that's happened in your past. So you have a choice. You can either live in the past and continually relive those experiences and talk about them all the time and make them a part of your life all the time. And many people do this because of the emotional high they get when they focus on these things that have happened to them in the past. Or they can say, I've accepted the fact that there's nothing I can do that's going to change what's happened in the past. The other thing that's really fascinating is the understanding that if you have past experiences, you have some type of traumatic experience. That traumatic experience drove certain hormonal reactions.
Mm-hmm.
So you have all of those things in your past, and now you experience a similar reaction. And without even realizing it, all those hormones that made your life miserable back then come flooding into your system based on the fact that you are having a situation that reminds you or that is much like that bad situation. And so now you just get into this quagmire, as I call it, and you're going to continue to be stressed. You're going to continue to be unhealthy. The other thing too that we understand is how much stress impacts the gut, how much the gut impacts your immune system. And when you put it all together, you have to recognize that if you have stress, you're going to damage your gut. If your gut is damaged, it's going to increase your likelihood of stress. It becomes this vicious cycle. And so, it has everything again to do with the gut brain reaction, the gut brain connection, if you will. And so many people don't realize that they are constantly working themselves into a dither and constantly ruining not only their emotional health, excuse me, not only are they stressed because of everything that's going on, but they are significantly damaging the function of the immune system. 75 to 80% of your immune system function is in your gut. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, if you're constantly working that gut with all this stress, you are damaging your immune system. And this is one of the reasons why so many people, unfortunately, they live in this constant stress and they are never healthy. They always have some type of physical ailment. Is it because they're just physically ill? No, it's because they're stressed, emotionally stressed. So,
Yes. And they need to learn how to release that. And like I said before, emotions like fear, frustration, and doubt, depression, and everything else are low vibrational energies, and that means that
absolutely.
it's slowing. These are energies are slowing down your energy level in your body, and they're just going to drain you. I just know that when I was recovering from my broken foot, I was like, I kept injuring myself, and I'm like laughing about it. But my whole point is every time I did something, a little bit of that energy level was slowing me down even more. So that's why it's important, because that little bit of doubt can slow you down, is what I'm getting at.
Oh,
That's why
absolutely.
you need to release that doubt or those low vibrational energies so that you can move forward and not get stuck. And sometimes, I was laughing earlier. It's not fun when something really traumatic happens in people's lives. But when I laugh, it's because I'm releasing a feeling I have that I don't want to be involved in. It's some people laugh because of nervous energy too, but it's sometimes it's like a good redirection or direction to focus on more of a positive thing than a negative thing. And I'm not laughing at people. I hope people know that it's a very serious thing when these mass shootings and everything are happening, and people need to see this other perspective to realize it's not just why do the people get those medications and what it really is doing to that person, because even doctors can't read people's minds and what's going on in their minds.
No. Mm-mm. And so often it's a real struggle because these medications, unfortunately, they're drugs. Okay.
Yeah.
Any drug is harmful to the body. You start taking one of these drugs and it's going to impact your gut microbiota. And so again, you get into this vicious cycle. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And this is one of the reasons why people struggle so much. I know that I personally have worked with soldiers returning and suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
And of course, what the doctors want to do is give them a drug. We're going to work with this drug. We're going to work with that drug. Sometimes this drug works. Sometimes that drug doesn't work. These guys already have post-traumatic stress. They have memories that are horrific memories. And
Yes.
now they're in a situation where they're put on a drug that oftentimes will mess up their thinking and mess up their mind. And so now they can't function. They can't function normally. And what I have found is so oftentimes working with these people, getting them on a healthy diet, making sure that they recognize which foods are the offending foods, as I call them, and balancing their gut. So oftentimes that's the key. And so oftentimes they feel so much better that they get off their medications. Now, I don't ever encourage somebody to just get off your medication.
No.
You need to do it with the help of your doctor.
Exactly.
But so many people say, I feel so much better and I'm not having those crazy thoughts anymore. And that's what we want to see. That's what we want to get to. We want to get to that reality.
Yeah, because sometimes these meds will react and make everything exaggerated even more.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and you got to be careful. And these meds are synthetic chemicals that your body and your immune system are not liking. Isn't that correct? Now, does it hurt
That's
your good
absolutely
bacteria
right.
in your gut?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's gonna imbalance everything, in the gut, in the endocrine system, in, all your hormones, all of those things. But you're absolutely right. We're talking about chemicals. When a person has a depression, it's not because they're deficient in a drug. A person, excuse me, has a depression because of something else that's going on. And oftentimes it can be directly linked to the gut.
You see. And if they have so many of these emotions that are low vibrational emotions, that's
That's
slowing down
right.
the system and creating depression as well. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And, to your point a few minutes ago, you laugh. Laughing is a higher frequency emotion.
Yes.
Certainly, if you are able to laugh and find joy in any given situation, or accept the situation for what it is and laugh to get past it or to get over it. Many people who work in jobs where, death happens every day and horrific accidents happen, EMTs, for example, and people like that, they get together and laugh. I know that when I came back from Operation Just Cause, we came back on Christmas morning. All of us, instead of running home to our families on Christmas morning, we all went to debrief, have a drink, and just laugh about some of the things that had happened so that we were wise enough to realize if we could laugh about some of these things, we could leave some of the negative emotions behind.
It helps. It kind of, it's like a interruption, a redirect.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's important. Some of these things, well, what you went through is not, not a small thing, but sometimes people are getting upset about things that are not as big as what you went through,
Oh, sure.
And just laughing at it and realizing, oh, that wasn't such a bad thing, but I just need to let it go. And you can release these negative patterns, and you can release things that happened in your past so they don't feel so harmful anymore. And that's what I help people with the mindset coaching that I do.
Right. And there's so many things that you can do. And I'm sure part of what you offer is helping them understand the power of meditation,
Yes.
helping them understand the power of just check out for a few minutes. It doesn't have to be for a long time. If you just check out for 10 minutes in many situations, just check out, turn it off, excuse me, go sit down, meditate for 10 minutes. Oftentimes you come back a new person.
Exactly. Now, I have a question. With young adults, where their hormones are more active than we as we get older, do they have more emotional reactions or responses or behaviors because of that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's interesting when you look at age and you look at how people respond and react to certain situations. I know that I myself, for example, I can remember when I was much younger, I might have a much more volatile reaction to something than I do now. And a part of it is what you brought up a few minutes ago, the understanding that this crisis, whatever it is not going to last forever. um People get so upset about certain things, I mean wickedly upset about certain things. And
Yes.
oftentimes it's younger people who get so upset. Like, I'm going to give a crazy example, but you take the cake out of the oven and the cake falls, and
Mhm.
you're supposed to be preparing this cake for a special event, and your whole world just goes to pieces because this cake isn't going to be what it should be.
Yes.
What you need to do is just laugh about it and just get over it and make sure that everybody that comes to the event understands this is what happened, and haha, and not be so focused on, oh my gosh, what are they going to think about me? What are they this is crazy behavior, and I have said for many, many years, what you think of me is none of my business. I
True.
live a much happier life not focusing on what other people think about me and if other people care about what I do or don't do. I just,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
again, it all has to do with the willingness to be able to accept the fact that you can let go of some of those emotions.
exactly. And, people really shouldn't worry about judgment anyways, because all it does is make them worry.
That's right. That's right.
It doesn't really matter. And don't judge yourself against others either. Don't you agree? It's
Oh,
so
absolutely. And we find this a lot. I work a lot with people with eating disorders. And we
Mhm.
find this a lot with people with eating disorders. When we finally get to drilling it down, exactly what drove that behavior. So oftentimes it was a comment that was made by someone who's really important or really special in their life. And that comment drove the behavior to the point where they developed an eating disorder.
Oh, okay.
Some people say, wow, that's crazy. But it's really not crazy. This happens to people.
It does. It does. And like you're saying before, age comes wisdom. We learn little things along the way.
Oh, yeah.
And and we try to, install that in others if they will listen to us.
Right. Right.
So, and I don't know. I just rather not react sometimes. I rather just go, okay, something's happening, and just, something's happening. I need to redirect and do something else. That's the way
Mhm.
I need to do things.
Absolutely, because if you find yourself in a situation where you are reacting,
Mhm.
again, that can bring back the flood of all of those hormones that you experienced when you had a similar event occur many years ago.
Yeah, and you can't control what other people do. I always teach my clients, if this is something that's happening because somebody else is doing it, then stop the reaction because you can't control what they're doing, whether it's a workmate or a family member and things like that. Because all that's going to do is drain your energy
Hmm.
and get into those low vibrational energies I've always been talking about.
Right.
So that's really important to pay attention to where your mind is focused, where your energy levels are, so that you can, take a little break and go for a walk and be outside.
That's right. That's right. Or sit down and watch a TV show that makes you laugh or something, you
Yeah,
know.
like Steinfeld. I guess I'm aging myself. Son. My parrot learned to laugh from Steinfeld, by the way. So I'm just thinking, whenever my parrot starts laughing, it's like, oh, that's because of Steinfeld. See, I just made you laugh.
That, yeah, it is something that makes me laugh. Just hearing that makes me laugh.
Yeah. And, I wish they make more shows like that because people need to laugh more
I
often.
agree with you. And I have to tell you, one of my other favorites is Last Man Standing. I
Oh,
just absolutely love that show because it just cracks me up. And sometimes if I just need to relax and have a laugh, I'll watch an episode or two of Last Man Standing just because it cracks me up. Those girls just crack me up. But again, that's the way I deal with it. One of the other things that people do, and this is another thing that I encourage people to do, is get an accountability partner. Get someone that you can talk to, someone that can help bring you out of it, whatever it is.
yes.
And, I find this especially helpful with people with eating disorders because, they get depressed and they get upset and they want to go eat that bag of M&Ms,
Oh,
but they call their accountability partner and the accountability partner talks them out of it. And I think that that's a really important thing to do as well. Hook up with somebody. Behavioral therapy is so critically important, and recognizing that there are connections that can be made person to person that can actually help a person learn to deal better with whatever their situation is.
exactly. An accountability partner that's been through something that they've been through, because usually it's more of like a peer.
Hmm.
They're going to listen to a lot more than anybody else. So that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
Idea. So, um, let's talk about the offer you have for our guests today, and describe what it is and how they can get it.
Okay, so the book that I've written is Why is America So Sick? And it goes into a lot of detail with respect to digestive health and the importance of balancing the microbiome, making sure that the gut is staying healthy. And then the second half of the book deals more with hormonal issues and the link between gut issues and hormonal issues. Excuse me, oftentimes we talk about hormonal issues in terms of estrogen and testosterone, and definitely there's a direct impact between the gut, a healthy gut microbiota, and estrogen and testosterone. So many people, they say they're testosterone deficient and they struggle, and so they go to the doctor. And what can I do? If they would just clean up their diet and balance their microbiome, oftentimes that's all it would take to help to boost the testosterone levels. So you can get the book by going out to my website, drjconaway.com. You see that link right there. And go out to the website and just order the book. And I'm delighted to send it to you.
Yeah, and I got to say that we are power partners too. So, I you can utilize her services, and then she'll send her you back to me so I can help coach you.
That's
So,
right.
and so, anyways, I gotta say, I just love having you on my show, and I really love this book. I've learned so much from this book. you could possibly imagine. So I think my clients and everybody on here should buy this book to really understand what causes all this from, ground floor up. And I'll have you back on my show again. Please stick around for closing remarks.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, remember, I do revitalize people's lives in many different areas of health and mindset. I do help you correct your gut, which will give you mental clarity, because I do guide you to clean toxic-free foods and high-quality essential nutrient products that will help reduce symptoms. You'll feel better and possibly release weight, and it'll uplift your mood. With my mindset coaching, I help you reshape your core beliefs, as well as reduce stress, emotion, and attainments from the past. And I am enhancing your mindset, health optimization, as well as weight release. I'm making your body more efficient. So ask me about my programs on my complimentary consultation button in my link tree at Debi Changes Lives, DebiChangesLive as in victory es.com/linktree, LINKTREE. And when you do that, you get to know me, I get to know you, and I'll guide you to your optimal health. And it starts with 1 or 2 assessments. Now, the first one is a health evaluation, where you can rate symptoms in the last 30 days for 4 categories of health. Some questions are repeated, answer them all. You will get a health score. I will review it with you. If you move forward with my services, I'll create that custom natural holistic strategy for you. And we will do this monthly to review your progress. I also have 2 different body Zyto scans. And yes, you have to do this monthly too. The Zyto link is actually easier to use to do remotely, internationally. I had one person do it in South Africa. And it is a transdermal optical imaging app that I send a link to you to your phone. You scan your face for 30 seconds. It's only looking at blood flow for components of energetic, functional, emotional, and different body systems and lifestyles. It generates a wellness report, not a diagnosis, of biomarkers out of range and products and services to bring it back into range. I do review this with you because it's quite intensive. The cost of the scan is $50. And if you move forward with any products or programs, you get a $25 discount on one of them. Now, Zyto Link uses transdermal optical imaging, and it's okay. And as also known as TOI, you can look this up at pubmed.gov. That's pubmed.gov, which to find out how accurate it is. And I also have a package of 5 scans that you can save $50. People are really amazed what their body tells them through this scan, and you'll be too. So curious, get your first scan and see what they're raving about. Now, on the site are my programs. Take Your Body Back is a 12-week weight release mindset coaching program where you can use a new version of you for success. All coaching is done on Zoom, and the first one's private to you because I go over your health assessments. I also give you a choice between 2 meal plans, directions on one, and directions how to create that new version of you. They'll drive you with emotion and passion to achieve your health and weight transformation throughout your journey for health and mind, and also health weight release. The rest of the coaching, whether it's private or group, we'll be celebrating your wins, and I'll get you over your gaps with mindset and health tips. You will become a new you, and you can ask me questions at the complimentary consultation or watch my previous episode, Holistic Self-Love, for more details. Remember, my prices have gone up. Why Fast is an intermittent fasting program that gets your cells and body humming, and in turn boosts your metabolism with rich, dense nutrition and high-quality essential nutrients, and a program with exercises and recipes. And remember, intermittent fasting will repair your cells, reduce inflammation, and give you mental clarity. Here you would ask me questions about why fast, and if you feel like you need some help, you can purchase a 2 or 4-week program to get you going, and keep on purchasing the program on the weekly programs if you need it. You can also apply these smaller programs to mindset enhancement and health optimization, but truly these are longer journeys, and the larger programs will probably save you money overall. And I can also create a custom program for you. And My holiday sale is 33% off my group coaching of Take Your Body Back. I've already described that 12-week weight release mindset coaching program where you're going to use a new version of yourself to succeed. Now is the time to set up a complimentary consultation. Ask if this is going to work for you. And I'm there for you. It is a group coaching session. You need 4 people in a group. And you need to be signed up by December 31st, 2024. And you can't pick a date anytime after the holiday. So it's not like you have to start right away. For a limited time, I'm offering a 30-minute complimentary coaching session in an intimate group setting. It's not recorded. A survey picks a topic. You'll learn how to optimize your health, ways to release stress and emotions, efficiently release weight, how to harmonize hormones for body balance, create a winning mindset, use that winning mindset for health or weight transformations, and creating a new version of you in that avatar board that'll drive you with emotion and passion to achieve your health as well as your weight release goals throughout your journey. These meetings are on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and you need to be registered for it. And this is, again, at Debi Changes Lives, DebiChangesLive as in victory, es.com, but this time /chat, CHTS. And you'll learn what my coaching is all about. Finally, learn more about alternative health programs, products, and services, articles, blogs, upcoming shows, events, and promos. By subscribing to my newsletter at DebiChangesLives.com, and this time is /radio TV show, all in lowercase is one word, and I give you a gift. And it is a 30-day health and mindset daily action journal where you can record your gratitudes, thoughts, feelings, emotions, as well as the foods you ate, the water you drink, nutritional products you took, and the exercise done on a daily basis. You'll also track your measurements. You want to review it on a weekly, daily, monthly basis to see your wins and celebrate them. And look at your gaps that you can work on. If you need help bridging your gaps, you contact me for coaching. This journal is a great health and mindset awareness tool. I'm certain that you found this show educational, eye-opening, and enjoy it. Reach out to me for my programs, products, and services, and reach out to Dr. Joanne Conway for her services and purchase her book. Do we have time for Dr. Joanne to come back?
I'm back. I do want to say one thing. I love your journal. And this is another thing when I work with people who are having struggles. Journaling is another thing that is so powerful and so beneficial. If you write it down and can look at what you've written down, you can see the steps that you're taking. You can see the forward momentum that you have. And oftentimes that's all it takes for people to get on the right track.
Yeah, because they can also see what's working for them and what's not. I found when I, list my foods, I found foods that were not working for me. Believe it or not, way before longevity, rice was one of them. Interesting. So I stopped eating rice. So that's how you learn the values of your foods, and you learn the values of your mindset by tracking your gratitude, thoughts, and feelings and emotions.
That's right.
So, well, right now we have 1 more minute. Is there anything else you want to say?
I was going to say, so oftentimes people get so caught up in their busy lives and their routine that they do day after day, time after time, they don't pay attention to how what they're doing impacts them physically, emotionally. They don't pay attention. And so journaling is a way to get you to pay attention to what's going on in your world.
Exactly. And that's why I have it. Well, thank you for being on my show. I got to close the show off. So I got to say, continue to enjoy my radio and TV show on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, where your holistic journey begins.